Last night was a big night for Alabama players, but it was really the former coach that stole the show.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I'll talk about Monopoly Go here in just a little bit. Thank you for making this your first listen every single day. I'm going to tell you one other thing I'm going to do, Jimmy, because I'm a great American. We're going to talk about the draft, but look, the other day, I was out in our little pattern shop, and I found these. This is like a small aluminum state of Alabama.
It looks like Alabama, but when you turned it around on its backside, it looked a little like Mississippi.
It does. If you do it like this,
that's Mississippi.
That'd be a Mississippi ashtray.
Mississippi,
this is Alabama.
Alabama.
I just found some, and I made some. I'm going to give one to somebody as long as you are subscribed to our podcast, and as long as you will contact me through the Twitter account for Locked On Bama, which is Locked On RTR. Locked On RTR. If you're interested in that, you don't even have to use it if you're a smoker or whatever. I'm serious. Like, I love these things. Yeah, I found little trinkets like this in our pattern collection all the time. This one's the state of Alabama. I'm going to do one other thing. I brought some of these back from the Final Four. This is like a little scarf or something. I don't know. You see it?
I see it.
And it's a Capital One. They were on the back of all the seats. And like some people didn't take theirs, so I took a couple extras. And I'm going to just give somebody one. I'm just going to send it to you. That's because I'm a great American. And Jimmy is too. And Jimmy's condoning this. So you must be a subscriber, and you got to contact us through the Twitter page, Locked On RTR, and I'll pick somebody at random. How about that? So, Jimmy, is that a good idea? You like giveaway ideas?
And it reminds me a little bit of the episode on The Office when Michael put the Willy Wonka golden ticket. You win free paper for life. I think, was it free?
Yeah.
Was it free paper?
Yeah.
For life?
No, it was 50% off for life. And
50, okay.
And Blue Cross
like
found all 4
ticket.
of them. Yeah. So anyway, or 10% off. I can't remember what it was.
No, it was a whopping. It was a horrific thing that Michael should have sent up the ladder, which he never does. But this was fine with you not sending him. I don't think you had to ask Zach if it was okay to do this. I think you're good.
Yeah, these are giveaways, people, and that's what we do for y'all. All right, the draft last night. All right, so I got in from Utah last night, right at 7:00. Pull up, and I'm so anxious because I didn't get to see Saban in the pregame stuff technically. The draft was awesome, as it always is. I bet you the ratings blew the NBA out of the water, just obliterated it in terms of, because there was NBA playoff games last night. And it was on several different channels. But watching Saban, and we will talk about the players in the next few segments, Saban was born to do this. So he was a poet laureate up there, Jimmy. He was exquisite. I mean, he knew so much about all of them. I thought he might get up there and be sort of a little PC, maybe take it down for TV a little bit. We know how brutally honest he can be in front of the press sometimes. If he's telling the press anything, he's brutally honest. Sometimes he sort of just didn't want to talk with the press, so he didn't screw with them. But man, I mean, for instance, when he talked about Amarius Mims, he knew everything. He was like, yeah, he took himself out of the game after 10 or 12 plays against us, and he's going to have to do better than that. I mean, that's awesome. And look, if you're a Georgia fan, you're mad about that. Where are the lies? There are no lies. And he's right. And Amarius Mims is a gorgeous piece of clay for NFL GMs and coaches to work with. But he only has X amount of starts, not many at all. 8 total starts. They're not. That's not a lot of starts. And
he only played 700 snaps, period, in college, period.
What Saban said about him was spot on, but it was like that for every draft pick. And what he said about the cornerback from Toledo, and it's got some people up in arms Saban admitting to tampering. The way I heard it was, we were if he gets in the portal, we're going after him first. He didn't say we called him and said, get in the portal.
Yeah, he didn't say that. That's people assuming and going an extra mile and adding stuff to what he said. But does that sort of stuff happen in the portal? Yeah, 130 teams are doing this, including your favorite team. That sort of stuff happens, and we've talked about it here on the show all the time about what even constitutes tampering. I mean, other than direct contact with a player who's on someone else's roster, which he did not say. So, but regardless, it just goes to show how the depth of knowledge that he has. And it's not just that, it's his way of communicating it. He has a great talent of communicating football to the masses. Not just he knows a lot about football. Of course he does. He could put on a football 404 type show and confuse the heck out of all of us because he knows so much about football. But he has a pretty good way of describing complex football things to the masses. And he was great. I knew he would be good. He was even better than good. I think he surprised me a little bit too, Luke. He did things he doesn't normally do. I mean, the new Nick Saban on TV does things like, here's my all defensive team. Here's the best 11 defenders in this draft, and it's my Saban all defense team. That's just so not his personality as Alabama's coach. So we got to know he did some comps last night. He's famously, I don't like doing comps. I don't like comparing players. And there he was last night comparing players, which is stuff that sort of goes along with that job that you sort of have to do. So he was great. I would question, not like it's a question. It's not like questioning or criticizing. It's questioning. He knows the landscape so well because he was just coaching in it. Some of his best stories were because of direct involvement, like the Amarius Mims situation where he played against Alabama, and then the Michigan and J.J. McCarthy because he played against Alabama in the last game. I wonder what Coach Saban might look like 4 years from now when he's been removed from recruiting and removed from coaching against these guys. Will it still be the detail, the level of detail that he had last night? My guess is yes, it will, because his preparation is unbelievable. But he clearly knows it really well because he was just coaching and recruiting these guys.
That's a great point. And here's another great point about it that I'm going to make.
Yeah,
I really just patted myself on the back, and I shouldn't have.
This better live up to the hype.
But not only did he have inside information because he happened to coach a lot of these guys or play against them because they went to Georgia. 3 of the guys went to LSU. He obviously knew about the Washington guys because he was probably getting some prep for all the playoff teams anyway. The Georgia guys, Michigan guys. I mean, these were all people he played against. And so he also, because he was in the SEC, he's going to know more about these guys. So he even knew about Bo Nix, who was in the Pac-12, who he didn't have to play against. But what I'm saying is, when you're right, when he's removed from this for 3 or 4 years, okay, all of a sudden he's not going to have as many fun backstories. He will still have the inside info, and he will be prepared with the numbers, but he won't have the intimate detail.
Yeah,
and won't be able to
he personally recruited some of these guys, and he talked about personally knowing Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. A lot of Alabama fans don't remember this. We actually recruited Bo Nix, to some extent. Yeah. I think Bo Nix came on not an official visit, but I remember a Bo Nix unofficial visit where he met with Saban. And I don't think that was just hey, we understand that you're ties to Auburn and that's going to happen. But in the event that maybe Auburn isn't this place for you, what do you think about this place? I mean, so that conversation happened. So he just personally knows a lot of these kids. So he was advantaged in that way. And I think a fair question is, well, what will it be like when he's not advantaged that way? I personally think he'll be just as good, period. But that is a fair question. He does know these guys really well. And obviously the Jalen Milroe moment was great. When Nick said, I wish I was down there with you, which was probably like, not a lie. I mean, that was Nick outside the ropes for the first time. You know what I mean? The media is just outside the ropes. I mean, inside the ropes are coaches and the players and the teams and the front office, and you're in the draft or you're a coach of the player that just got drafted. That you're inside the ropes. The media is just outside the ropes. And that was another interesting thing. Here's Coach Saban as a commentator and not a decision maker. The only thing I wish, and I knew he wouldn't, Luke, we don't have to get into it, but a really controversial decision for the Falcons to take Penix at 8 when they just signed Kirk Cousins to a $100 million guaranteed deal. That was a decision that begged for some level of criticism, or at least some level of questioning. We didn't get that from the ABC crew. We shouldn't expect it from that crew or from Coach Saban. But
I think
it would have made for compelling TV. If Saban said this was a huge mistake, that would have been compelling TV.
We're way past a break.
That's not going to happen.
We're way past a break, but I'll say this. I think that the best way to handle that, and let's all admit, Falcons fan or not, it's a puzzling decision. If you like Michael Penix, you should have traded back, or not signed Kirk Cousins, because Michael Penix is also older, and so if you're waiting 2 years for him to be ready, then he's going to be 26, 27 years old by the time he's ready. But
if you only wait 2 years, you're paying Cousins $50 million a year. He's not Mahomes.
I'm glad that they didn't kill the Falcons in that moment, because it would be killing the kid. And I think Penix deserved his moment in the sun. But I need to tell everybody about eBay Motors. Boy, and if I ever find this overlay for eBay Motors, you guys are in trouble, because I'm going to hear you. Here it is. I'm going to tell you all about it. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered like Terrion Arnold. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, you're not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, so let's get into the players and where they went. Yeah. We'll talk about Kool-Aid later. I was a little surprised he didn't go, but I think that injury may have scared some folks off. J.C. Latham to the Titans. Now, I had not seen anybody forecast him to the Titans. I know the Titans need some help. They need a lot of help, though, but they definitely need some help along the line. J.C. is a right tackle. They need a left tackle from everything I've read. Maybe they'll turn him into a left tackle. I don't know. I'm happy for JC. If I were grading the pick, I would say it's a B to a B plus. I think it's an A in terms of value. I mean, not value, A in terms of addressing a need. It's more like a B minus in terms of value. I think they could have gone back a little more. And again, we always say this as people who look at the draft. Why don't you just trade back? Well, you got to have somebody to want to trade back.
That's a two-way street. There has to be somebody on the phone to do that.
So I understand that. That's why I'm not killing the pick. And first of all, I'm happy for J.C. Latham. Super happy for him. I want him to do well there. I'm a little mad at the Titans just because of the way I feel like they treated Derrick Henry. I feel like he could have been a lifer. And they sort of let him go. And, I think that'll come to bite him in the butt. But they do have Calvin Ridley now. They did sign Julio Jones last year, or was that 2 years ago? Somewhere in there. 2
years ago. Yeah,
he's
not there. He's not there.
And they got J.C. Latham now. So, I mean, hey, whatever. Go Titans. I would have preferred JC go somewhere else probably. But in the end, I think this is a very solid but not spectacular pick that addresses a need for the Titans.
Yeah, they were most mocks that I saw had them taking Joe Alt there at 7, but boy, there's a surprise. Alt was off the board. So they were either going to change streams because the left tackle wasn't there, or pick Latham, who has a lot of versatility. He could play the left side. He could also play inside a guard. I think that's one of the things that adds to his value as Latham as a guy who can move around. And they may take a look at him at left tackle because he has the capability of doing that. I think it's impressive that he was viewed as the second best offensive lineman in a loaded offensive line group. I mean, a number of offensive linemen went in that first round. It was really cool that JC was the second one. I'm not so sure either on the Titans long term. I sort of like Will Levis, but to me, the jury's still out. You got to see more of Levis. They certainly need more weapons for Will Levis. I think they got Calvin Ridley in the offseason. So that's fun for Alabama fans. And it's cool. You know, it's a local team. I think, Tennessee's on TV in Birmingham a lot of Nashville Titan, Tennessee Titan fans in Birmingham due to the proximity in Huntsville. So I think it's cool that the JC's with what amounts to a local team for Alabama fans.
Then get to Dallas Turner. Boy, first of all, I think everybody is wondering, hey, Falcons, y'all do know y'all picked 8th and not 18th, right? I mean, they could have had Dallas Turner, who a lot of people thought was the best defensive player in the draft. I mean, the Latham guy that ended up going to Indianapolis, the first defensive player at number 15, he is very good, but he had a neck surgery. And, Saban addressed that, by the way. Saban said, I had the same surgery, and my neck's never felt better. I don't know what everybody's worried about. I mean, it was just he just blows your mind with just being so candid and open and having experience with some of these things. But anyway, I felt like a buddy of mine kept texting and talking about Dallas Turner's, fall from what we thought was going to be number 8 to I think he went number 17. And I said, look at Dallas though. Look at the way he's dealing with this. I think he's going to use this as some serious motivation. Now, again, it's sort of like, a team saying we think they're soft and using that as motivation. It only is motivation until you get punched in the mouth, right? And then the game starts. But I feel like Dallas really is going to use this motivation. And let me tell you the positive thing. I think he's going to a good organization. I think Minnesota's organization is better than the Falcons organization. Say what you want to. Falcons may be the better team this year because they have better players right now. But the way they drafted lets me know the Vikings are probably the better organization.
Yeah, I think they are. And I think they might win more than Atlanta, even though they'll have the rookie quarterback. Or maybe not a rookie quarterback. Sam Darnold's up there, who sort of could be a bridge to win McCarthy's rating. Sam Darnold's, I think adequate. I like Minnesota. I think Dallas fell into a better situation than he would have in Atlanta. I was rooting for him to go to Atlanta, number 1, local team for us Alabama fans. But B, 8th pick, more money. I know that some people might say, well, Dallas fell from 8 to 17. First of all, 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12. That's never happened in NFL history. It was most offensive players drafted, in the first round. All of that's pushing players down. And I would say 8 to 17. I know to some that's going to be a fall. It's 9 spots. And first round is a little different than all the other rounds, Luke. First round is really about addressing needs. These teams are addressing needs. The Titans wanted an offensive lineman. All wasn't there, so they took Latham. The first 3 picks were all quarterbacks. Need. Cardinals need a wide receiver. So first round's all about need. It's not necessarily about where you rank among the best prospects, but the need has to line up with your position. And apparently no one until 17 felt like they really needed to address edge. Now the Falcons should have, and I'm personally going to enjoy it when Dallas Turner has a huge rookie year and the Falcons are last in the NFL in sacks. Look to me to point this out on Twitter a few times. If Dallas has a great rookie year and the Falcons have trouble rushing the quarterback and the Vikings finish with a better record by a game or 2, I'm going to be like on Twitter going, Atlanta, how's that backup quarterback situation working out for you?
And somebody will say, again, a defender for the Falcons may say, well, what about, the Packers with, they took Aaron Rodgers when they still had Brett Favre, and they took Jordan Love when they still had Aaron Rodgers. Well, number 1, those picks were much later down the board.
Yep.
And they were value picks. And number 2, I don't think those guys were as old as Michael Penix. That's the thing. He's older. He's older.
He's
old for his class.
And you just gave Cousins $100 million. That tells me that why are you moving on from Cousins so fast if you just gave him $100 million? For the Cousins deal to be a good deal for the Falcons, he's got to play at least 3 years for that to be a good deal. And by the way, Penix's deal with the Falcons is going to expire after 5. And that 5th year, you owe him a bunch of money because that's the option year where everything balloons. It just makes no money sense. And again, if like Luke said, where I thought Penix would be a super pick is the Rams. who were picking right in the early 20s because they only get one more year out of Stafford. You only got Stafford for one more year, and Penix at 20 or 22 has a lot of value, and Penix would have sat for a year and not 3. I'm not even a Falcons fan in the sense I'm an Alabama fan, but even 12 hours later or however many hours later it is, I'm like mad. I guess like, don't make me watch 1,000 mock drafts and then do something that not one of the 1,000 mock drafts had this happening. Why? Because it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's right. Monopoly Go. It's a fun game. You need to go check it out. If you're a competitive person like Jimmy or like me, you have a competitive side. And your competitive side is going to be a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly, where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with your friends. I can charge them rent, or if you want to, if I were playing on my iconic properties, just like in regular classic Monopoly. But now I can also heist their vaults for riches myself. And the leaderboard show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. And you always want to be on top of the leaderboard. It's always a positive. But it's not just my competitive side or your competitive side that will love it. All of us are going to love it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in time tournaments and earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or on Google Play Machine, whatever that is. Now we have come to the Terrion Arnold portion of the program. Terrion Arnold, look, we all have our favorite Alabama players. It's going to be difficult. Devontae Smith's way up there for me. Derrick Henry's way up there for me. Derek Thomas may be untouchable in my eyes. Deuce Palmer way up there. Tua, Bryce Young. Bryce Young, love him. But if Terrion Arnold isn't in your top 5 at this point, I think you're not gump enough. He is gumped out.
You should gump better.
You should gump better. He is completely gumped out. He's got, and I know it's his brand, but the whole lank thing was in his coat. Saban even said, like, I came up with that, and he just took and ran with it. I thought that was pretty funny. But, Terrion Arnold going to Detroit, and the way, Terrion Arnold getting drafted by the host city for the draft was so Terrion Arnold and so deserved. This is a guy, Jimmy, that we're going to find out years later we underappreciated him, and I can't appreciate him anymore. I'm still underappreciating him. He's going to be amazing. I really think
that he went to Detroit too, because that's Bama. We got a lot of Bammers in Philadelphia, but the Bammers in Detroit.
The Crimson Pride. How about that?
Oh,
like Pride of Lions.
I love this. Yeah. The Detroit Lions, actually, their own Twitter account pointed out, the Detroit Lions official Twitter account said, we just drafted another Bama boy. They know, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams, Brian Branch. These are significant Lions, not just guys on the team. And now they're excited to add Terrion Arnold. So I think there's just going to be a bunch of Alabama fans loving Detroit this fall. And I think I might order me I'm not so much into the jerseys, but I do like just for wearing around those jersey T-shirts. I think I'm going to go a Detroit Lions Terrion Arnold with his name on the back and the number, and just a Lions T-shirt in honor of Terrion, who I agree is my favorite in this draft class and one of my all-time favorite Alabama players. And I think it's a great situation too. We talked about the situations for Latham and Dallas. Terrion got drafted in the best situation. Here's a team that's playoff, that's not only playoff worthy, they are Super Bowl worthy. Maybe Terrion was the final piece. They also play Brian Branch at nickel corner. There's some talk that they're going to move Brian Branch to safety. So they'll both be in the backfield at the same time. And of course, on that offense, they have Gibbs and J-Mo. So awesome. Very exciting things happening in Detroit. And I like the coach. They were on Hard Knocks 2 cycles ago, and it was easy to like what was happening in Detroit.
I love the leadership in that defensive backfield. I think every player that they have from Bama is a perfect fit for his position. Like J-Mo is sort of flashy and speedy, and he's not. I don't mean this as a shot. I don't think J-Mo is going to be the leader of the team, but you might not want your wide receiver to be the leader. I mean, very rarely has a wide receiver been the leader. And then Jahmyr Gibbs is like, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm also not going to be super vocal, but I'll do whatever the hell it takes. And then you got two defensive backs, Brian Branch especially, who is an incredible leader, and Terrion Arnold, who can move to different spots and is freaky athletic. I'm a big Detroit guy right now, so I mean, I'm going to get me a Crimson Pride shirt.
I like it.
Now, Kool-Aid did not get drafted. The foot issue apparently was probably a little bigger than people thought. If they don't discover that injury, or if he doesn't have that injury at all, I mean, Kool-Aid's in the top 15 picks probably. So maybe top 20, I should say top 20. So I hate it for him, but look, here's the positive side. He might get to go to a better team in the second round. I don't know. So let's see.
I think his name's going to be called pretty early tonight. I would think he's going to go in the first 4 or 5 picks. I think all the offensive players, look, there's only 32 spots. And when there's 6 quarterbacks, that ties an all-time record. The number of offensive tackles and wide receivers, all the defenders got pushed down. Dallas got pushed down. Terrion went lower than projected. Like I said, Dallas lower than projected. Latham, was he the first defender taken at number 15? So all the defenders got pushed down, and I think Kool-Aid was a victim of the defensive players just getting pushed down. One point about Kool-Aid, I know he's upset today. I'm sure he is, but here's some Alabama recent DBs drafted in the second round. Trevon Diggs, Brian Branch, Xavier McKinney, Landon Collins. All of them went early in the second round, and they all did really, really well. There is no shame to be lumped into that group. So,
they're all still playing unless Landon
Collins isn't. Collins isn't, but he's older than those other guys,
Yeah.
That was 2014 was his final season. So
2 quick notes. Nick Saban, in 28 years of coaching, has as many national championships as Oklahoma and has more first-round draft picks than Oklahoma. Overall, their whole history. Yeah. That's not me taking a shot at Oklahoma. I appreciate Oklahoma. I'm just saying that's me digging on Saban. Then one other stat that came out, and that's why I love following Twitter during the draft. Alabama's had 21 first-round picks since 2019. Auburn's had 20 all-time. All-time. They've had 20 first-round picks. That's just that's amazing.
It's the greatest. I always say it all the time, and I'm going to be saying it because it's going to be relevant during the DeBoer era, because a real concern of mine is that Nick Saban was the greatest to ever do it, and no one's ever done it as well as him, and no one will ever do it again. And he's leaving, and he left the bar set where it is. No one's going to reach that. Kalen
DeBoer had as many first-round picks from Washington this past draft as Nick Saban did.
He did. He did in this draft. But I'm just saying that DeBoer is going to be held to a standard that Saban set, and no one ever in the history of humankind is going to reach Nick Saban levels of success. He's the best that's ever done it. So still excited about Friday night, the Friday night draft. I think Kool-Aid will go early, and Chris Braswell, I think, is a lock to go on Friday night. I think mid-second, but the way defenders fell could be late second now for Braswell, the way the boards fell. But sometime in the second round for Chris Braswell, maybe Jermaine Burton in round 3. I think Burton is the real wild card of the Alabama. He could go tonight in round 3, or he may not be drafted at all. Neither one would completely shock me, but maybe Burton in round 3. I think athletically, Burton is a round 3, even a round 2 pick. I think as a pure wide receiver athlete, I think Jermaine Burton could be a second or third round pick.
All right, quick reminder to be sure to subscribe, and you'll have a shot. I'm just going to send you this. I mean, I'm going to pay you for the shit.
Mississippi. Every time you turn it around, I think Mississippi.
That's what the joke. You turn it around, it's a Mississippi ashtray, and they just do it on and it doesn't have to be an ashtray. Nobody smokes But this is pretty cool too. And
there's the prize.
So
and that actually saw that artifact there actually present at the Final Four. Didn't say Final Four. It was at the Final Four.
I mean, it was there with me. I mean, I took it. I probably sat on it for the most part. So it still smells of Luke.
Wash that. Wash that with the ashtray.
All right, that's going to do it. Until next time, everybody, roll tide.
Roll tide.